Hi everyone, I'm Lisa and welcome to Lisa's Stamp Studio. Today's card is a bird cage, but it's recessed and it's got some glam and it's got texture, and I am really excited to show it to you. I'm going to teach you a tip about creating a recessed image. Here is the card that I'm going to be making with you today. I love that gold glimmer paper just to bring in a little pizzazz to the card, and I'm going to show you how to make this really cute double bow at the top and do some texturizing. Make sure you head over to my online classes tab where you can purchase PDF tutorials to create fancy folds or 3D projects, as well as my studio stamps in the mail, which is a class to go for you to stamp with me at home. Let's get over to that table now and let's start making this card. I think up close you can appreciate this beautiful festive embossing folder. That background is just so much fun. I love the different designs and the vertical lines, and of course you can put the folder in a different way by cutting the paper in a different direction. But I thought it worked well with this bird cage. Now I'm going to start off with a disclaimer. This one that I made, I'm going to hold up really close. Can you see the gold metallic thread that I wound inside of there? Yes, that was way fun. But for the sake of the video, I'm just going to omit that. Now, if you like that and you don't want to do the winding technique that I'm going to show you, stick it down with some glue dots and then put this bow with the linen thread over the top. I'll talk to you a little bit more about that as we go through the video. Let's start with the base of the card. I used Whisper White cardstock and it's 5.5 by 8.5. And I am going to fold it in half to make the card itself, and then I'm going to use my bone folder to create that nice crisp edge. And this is where we're going to do the embossing. So here is that festive embossing folder. And just so that you know, if you want the image raised on the front of your card, you're going to want to make sure that the logo Stampin' Up! Is facing up, because that's going to give you the raised side. If you want it recessed, flip this over. And you're going to just slip this on like it's a slip cover. So we're going to slip this inside. Okay, and then I am going to open this. And the reason I do this is because of the Big Shot. I find with the new platform that this is just a little bit too thick. So I'm going to put it through like this. So here's my Big Shot with the brand new basic platform. I'm going to put a clear mat on the bottom to protect it. Remember we talked about this. So this is right on my edge. This is going to go in here on top of that clear mat. Now you're going to want to be careful that these two edges are going to clear the track as you crank. What you don't want is this, because obviously when you crank, you know what's going to happen. You're going to lose a part of that, or it's going to damage your embossing folder. And then a clear mat over the top. Now once I get it in there, I'm going to kind of just shimmy it all together. Going to give it a little push here to get it started, and then we're just going to crank it through. Okay, I love this part. This is where the magic is. Isn't that fun? We'll set that aside, and then we're going to work on the focal point of the card. I'm using a piece of tip top taupe cardstock. That's 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. That's a mouthful, isn't it? It's hard to say really fast. So this is a perfect square. I also cut a piece of Flirty Flamingo cardstock, and this is 3 by 3. I'm using the Best Badge Punch. Now I'm going to talk to you a little bit about this bundle. So the stamp set and the punch are a bundle in the catalog, and you're going to find them right here on page 89. I think it's kind of a sleeper set. If you've watched my videos before, a couple weeks ago, you'll see where I actually use this image and the punch to create a beautiful copper embossed card. You really liked it. I got lots of great compliments on it. But I want to show you what else this is good for. So we're going to focus on the bird image inside the stamp. And of course, clear mount, you've got to love that. And several of you are like, well, how do you mount your stamp sets so they stay on? I have trouble. So I'm going to give you a tip about that as well today. If your clear blocks are like this one, where they have adhesive stuck on them, or they're really dirty, you see how it's not real clear? Here is a great tip. It's hand sanitizer. The alcohol that is inside of here will actually clean off all the oils from your skin. It will help remove the adhesive. Now this one's really gunked on there, and I'm just going to rub it on there. And I do both sides. And then you can use a dry paper towel. I actually like this acrylic cleaning cloth for this. It's probably not at all what it was intended for, but it works great for me. So I'm going to share that tip with you. And you can see, look, isn't it much, much better? And that's going to make all the difference on your images sticking. I'm going to bring you in a little closer. So I lay the image on the table, and then I press my clear block on top, and then I press, and I hold for a few seconds. If you've got good adhesion, you should be able to do this, and it's not going to fall off. So hopefully that's answered some of your questions about how to get them to stick really well. So we're back to our punch. Now what I want to do is I want to actually create an opening in this piece of Flirty Flamingo. And I've cut the paper perfectly so that I know that if I put it in all the way and I look on both sides to make sure I have an equal amount of paper, so there's a little bit here and a little bit here, and it's in as far as it will go, and I punch, I'm going to get a centered negative image. I'm going to set that aside. This you can use for something else. We're not going to need it on today's card. I also have a piece of Whisper White cardstock. This is just scrap. I'm going to use the Tip Top Taupe ink, which of course coordinates with that paper, and I am going to ink up my birdcage. And I am going to stamp that right here in the middle of the white cardstock. And I am going to use the punch one more time. Remember, we're going to have to turn this upside down. We may have to trim some paper to get it to fit. Yeah, we do. If you've ever done that, you know, you've just got it too centered and the punch won't reach. So I'm going to stick that in, and then I'm going to center this. And once I get it where I want it and I'm happy, I'm just going to give this a little quick squeeze, and that'll take care of my image. I thought it was a bit plain, and I wanted to bring in the Flirty Flamingo just a little, and it's probably something you may not even notice, but this little perch the bird's sitting on, I decided to pull out that marker. I love that everything is color coordinated with Stampin' Up, so the ink matches the marker, that matches the paper. I'll use the brush side, and I'm just going to come in and I'm just going to color in a little bit of that perch just to bring in the coordination of my card. Down here at the bottom on my original card, you'll see that there's glimmer paper. I actually did it with the punch. So I took a piece of glimmer paper, I went inside, let me find a nice clean edge, there we go, and I punched out just a little bit to mimic the bottom. That is going to go here. Before I get adhesive all over, which is how it gets all over my blocks, I want to bring in a piece of grid paper. Boy, if you guys don't have this, this is probably one of the best buys in the catalog. You can't go wrong with this stuff. It keeps your work surface clean, and it keeps the ink off of areas that can obviously smear. So I'm just aligning those pieces. Okay, so now we've got a little color to our birdcage. So now we're going to put this together. I'm going to build this on dimensionals. So I'm going to use one for each of the four corners. And I put those here. I love these things. They make your cards look so professional when they're finished because you've got that elevation, that 3D kind of dimensional look. Why they call them dimensionals, right? Take those off. And then I am going to center this on the front of my card. This is our birdcage silhouette. That you can see is going to go here. I also put this up on dimensionals. Now you're probably thinking, well, you didn't put the birdcage on. Nope, I didn't yet. And I've done this a bunch of different ways, and I'll tell you this way that I'm going to show you works best for me. Now, if you don't like that, you can certainly break out a pencil and trace the whole thing, but I'm not doing that. I am not a lazy stamper, really. I just try to find shortcuts to make things a little easier. So here's just another tip I'm going to give you. So I'm going to put this right here in the middle. So I've got a little frame. And I want the birdcage recessed. So I'm going to put adhesive on the back of it. Okay. And we're going to mount it right through the window because then I know it's going to be in there perfectly. Now I know it's a little bit bigger than that, and I also know it's a little bit tighter. It's going to mount it right through the window. Okay. I bring my finger in there and just kind of lift it. Next, I'm going to create the small bow. It's a double bow that's at the top of this card. This is 12 inches of baker's twine. I'm going to start with a raw end outside of my two fingers, and I'm going to wrap it around twice so that the opposite raw end is here. So I've got two raw ends. I took another piece. This is about 6 inches. And all I'm going to do is tie that together. Now you think it looks really hard to do, but it's really not. I'm cinching this with this hand, and I'm just tying this with the other. Now if you need help, get a buddy to put their finger there. Sometimes when Bob the Builder's home, that's his job. So there we go. And then I do make it into a knot because I don't want it to come loose. Some of you have bow makers, and if you do, that works really well. So now I've got a double bow and I have double ends. I'm going to take my scissors and I'm just going to give those a little bit of a haircut. Scoot that to the side. And I'm going to grab a glue dot. Gotta love these. And then I'm going to cinch it together just a little bit because the glue dot is just a little wider than the knot on the bow. And that is going to go here at the top. Now let's work on the greeting. This is another piece of scrap white cardstock. And I am going to use the Tip Top Taupe again. And my go-to stamp set for greetings. I'm loving this because it has a matching punch. Thoughtful banners. So I'm actually using this banner here. I'm tapping. I'm stamping. I'm using the Flirty Flamingo ink for the words. Now I did a video on this, and if you've missed it, I'm going to encourage you to go back on how you can get the words curved on your block. Photopolymer will allow you to manipulate the block. I will tell you that if it's slipping, which means it won't stay curved, it's because your block is dirty. So resort back to where I showed you to use the hand sanitizer. All right, so there we have our greeting inside. Now we're going to use the Duet Banner Punch, which is going to punch it out. And you can see this one's got the banner tips on it, and this one is the plain one. So we're going to slide that all the way down here. Just line it up, and we're going to punch it out. I don't throw these away. There's lots of good uses for those. And so we've got our greeting. We're just about done. Now we're going to add some adhesive, and then I am going to add this to another layer using the top one. So I'm going to put that back inside the punch. Going to punch that out, and let's add a little more adhesive here. And that is going to go here. Okay, so we have that layered. This now is going to go here. I like to keep small pieces of dimensionals in my stamp room, and let me just show you what I do. I actually take the dimensionals here, and while they're on the paper, I cut that hexagon shape in half. So I've got these little tiny pieces to work with. Boy, does that just make my life easier. Sometimes a big one just won't fit, and I find that if you just cut them while they're on the paper, then it just keeps it a lot neater. So I'm going to actually use dimensionals on this one today. And we're going to stick him here. All right, so we've got this card and our original card. And I'm super glad you joined me today. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great day, everyone.